This week, we're going to talk 12-volt tools. Now,
So thanks to the intro there from my intern, but as she said, today we're going to talk 12-volt tools, and specifically we're going to be talking about the Milwaukee Fuel and the Makita CXT 12-volt as well. So why would you need a 12-volt tool? That's the big question. You have 18-volt tools, they have plenty of power. What's the point of having a 12-volt tool? Let's find out. So first up here we have the Milwaukee M12 Fuel. This is a drill driver. This is not an impact driver. It has a couple really cool features that I really like and one that I don't, and I'll tell you that here in a second. But first thing I want to notice here is you have your option here for turning. You have reverse and forward, and you have your speed here and torque for 1 and 2. That's not what's the cool part about this. The cool part is this has an interchangeable head. So you take this right off here. This has a normal 1/4 inch hex head acceptance, and then what you can do is you can switch it out here. This is for normal drill driving. That goes right on. And if you really want to get crazy, you have a 90-degree attachment. So that goes on. And the last one here is you have an offset attachment as well. So if you're in the trades and you're in any position where this may help, you understand why an offset or a 90-degree make a big difference here. So you actually have a couple different tools here in one. The thing that I do not like about this is this. So it's nice that we have our battery gauge on here. You can see when you turn it on, battery gauge lights up. But the one thing I really like about the M12 line is that it's so compact and so small. Normally you wouldn't have this, you would just have this section right here and that's it. And that makes a big difference if you're in small spaces, if you're doing any sort of assembly, cabinetry or anything like that. The smaller the space, the better. And sometimes you just need to really get that head in here, and that's all the space you have. But now that you have this here, this blocks it. I'm not exactly sure why they put it on there because the battery gauge could have been anywhere over here. It does have a little mag tray here, which is nice, but other than that, I see no reason to attach this one here. But again, this is a drill driver. So what are we comparing it to? If you're looking at an 18-volt, the Milwaukee M18 drill driver, this thing is massive. It's got to be, I don't know, 6 pounds. This thing is probably maybe 3 pounds total. So if you're doing a lot of work all day long and you're using one of these things, you're definitely gonna get fatigued. And you have one of these, it's tiny. The battery here is so small. Pops right in. And because it's a M12, they charge pretty quickly too. And you get a rapid charger along with it. You also get a second battery with this kit. So you're really not gonna run out of power. You're gonna be using this during the day, and this is a good choice, especially if you're in the trades. So let's check out the Makita. So next up, we're gonna talk about the Makitas. This is the CXT 12-volt line. In this kit, you get a drill driver and impact driver, so you actually do get an impact driver. The question is, how much power does an impact driver have if it's only 12-volt? Well, we'll just show you features here. There is no adjustable speed. You have these tiny little batteries, which is actually pretty nice. So, I mean, just like the M12 from Milwaukee, you get your own small little battery that goes with these, and you're not going to weigh down with these. As comparison, this is an 18-volt LXT from Makita as well. It's one of my favorite impact drivers. It is a beast, and they're actually pretty similar in weight. This one is a little bit heavier just because you got that big battery on there. But as far as power, we'll show you here in a little bit. We'll give you a comparison to see what happens when you do these things head by head, side by side, and there's definitely a big difference here. So as far as the actual drill driver as well, you have speed adjustment, you have torque adjustment, everything. And actually for a drill driver, I do like the size of this one because just like the Milwaukee here, I mean, you're talking a monster tool that's pretty heavy, 6 to 7 pounds, and this one's probably 2 to 3 pounds. So that makes a big difference. It's also very low profile too for a drill driver. But how much power does it have? That's the next question. So let's check these things out head to head. Let's compare it to, let's just say, the M18 line or comparable to it, and we'll see what we got. So what I want to do is kind of give you a side-by-side so you can see what the difference is between the 12-volt line and the 18-volt line. So first off, we're going to use the Makita here. This is the 12-volt CXT, and so we'll put the same bit in here. It is a Makita bit. I like these. They're the gold standard ones. So we'll put this in, and what we'll do is we'll drive 3-inch screws. These are exterior screws into a 4x4. You get kind of a feel what the difference is here. So here's first up. This is our Milwaukee CXT 12-volt. So it's a little labored. Again, this is 12 volt, so you're not going to have the same results as an 18 volt. So I'll show you the difference here of what the M18 is. Again, this is the Makita XDT 16, so it's kind of not a fair fight, but this kind of gives you a difference of what these look like here. So let's get this one started. Again, this is 18 volt from Makita. So if you're working on a job site and you need a tough tool, I absolutely recommend this one. So obviously not a fair fight here, but that just kind of gives you an idea. Me personally, if I'm going to use a 12 volt tool, I think the drill is a better indication of what you're looking for in the line. It's not fair to try to drive like big screws or run lags or anything with a 12 volt tool. So I'll get to that here in a minute and talk about what I think they're best for. So this Makita here comes in the same kit with the other M12 impact driver here. This is just a drill driver, and this will give you an idea exactly what you're working with. So I'm going to start with the factory setting in the middle here at 5, and we'll start driving this. So already you can see that you need a little bit more delicate power, you need a little more torque. So we're going to crank this thing up all the way to 20. So as you can see, this was actually pretty much a fail test for this. Again, this is the 12 volt line. So this is heavy duty work driving a 3-inch screw into a pressure treated piece of 4x4. So again, this comes down to what should this be used for? So we'll get to that in a second. So next up is going to be the M12 fuel. This is from Milwaukee here. And so I should state again that this is not an impact driver. Although you have the tips where you can exchange and you have the hex head and you can do everything else, this is a drill driver. This is not an impact driver. So when we're comparing, we're going to be comparing with another drill. So let's try this one here and we'll see how it goes. So this one was with it dialed all the way up also in torque. So you can see it still drove it in. It did a lot better than the Makita did for the 12 volt line. And remember, this one has the exchangeable heads too. So there's quite a few different options that you have here. So just for fun, we'll drive this here at 90 degrees. That was already pre-drilled, so that's kind of cheating. But you can see it's versatile. It's nice to be able to do something like that and have the whole 90-degree angle here to do that. So, all right, so this is the Milwaukee M18 fuel, and this is just a drill driver also. So obviously a big difference here from 18 volt to 12 volt. So now that you've seen these in action, the question is who should be using these? Just because it's 12 volt versus 18 volt doesn't mean that it's a wussy tool, or you should have it for, it's like a kid's tool. That's not the case here. M12, CXT 12, these are specifically made for tradesfolk, where they need a little bit more finesse in their job, where you don't need as much torque and as much power. And we're talking about people that are like HVAC technicians or electricians, or even assembly for cabinetry or something along those lines, where you're not just going for, as they say, nut-busting power for impact drivers, and you're using something that's just a little more finesse. It's not as heavy. I mean, you're not going to get the fatigue factor for these as you would like the bigger M18 or the LXT line. So, and those big batteries, man, I mean, you do not need those big batteries if you're doing a ton of tasks all day. These are much better to lug around with like the 3-pound weight on them, clip them right to your belt, go up on a line or something, and much better. So now that you know who to use these for and who to buy them, who to give them to, what are my recommendations? So first, let's start with Makita here. It comes with a nice bag. You get a charger. It comes with both the drill driver and impact driver. You get 2 of these 12-volt batteries also for the CXTs, and that's a pretty good kit. So my question is is there something new coming? In my opinion, when I've seen a lot of these Makita tools recently, especially like this M18 LXT impact driver, there are so many bells and whistles on this thing that make sense. Even if you're using 12-volt tools, that should translate over to here. And again, an impact driver right here, an impact driver as far as a 12-volt tool, to me doesn't make a ton of sense because you're not going to get that power that you would need an impact driver for. So really, a drill driver is what the most important 12-volt tool is, in my opinion. Again, I'm not a tradesperson where I'm using these all the time, but I feel like you get more use out of a 12-volt drill driver as opposed to an impact driver. I just feel like these are waiting for something new to come out, and I would kind of wait to see if you find a good deal on them. I mean, it's still a good kit. You can use it around the home. If you're a tradesperson, you're already in the battery line, go for it. But there's not as many tools in the CXT line right now as there are for the M12 line. So the M12 line comes with an awesome case that stores everything in it, and you get all these attachments here. Again, the thing that bothers me is this right here, but the M12 line is huge. If you have, they have impact drivers, they have drill drivers, they have recip saws, they have, I think they have circular saws, they have all different kinds of tools that are in the 12-volt line for M12 for Milwaukee, so you get a lot if you're on that battery platform like you would if you're in an 18-volt line. Again, I just don't like this thing right here, but as far as using it around the house and doing different sort of tasks, I actually assembled a playhouse with this, and it was perfect for that application. It was delicate, it wasn't going to tear right through or drive stuff right through it, and I've always been impressed with the M12 line from Milwaukee, so if you see these, pick them up. They're not on sale very often because they are that good, but you're going to see a ton of tradesperson. If you, next time you have a technician come to your house, ask them what they like to use. I bet they say Milwaukee. So check these out, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tool review. A lot of information here, but if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel right here, and maybe check out this video over here. Thanks, guys. Make sure you subscribe, and hope you enjoyed it. Up here is the Milwaukee, and this is the 12-volt CXT. Oh, shit.